Okay, let us start the class. In today's class, we will try to understand OOPS concepts in Python. OOPS concepts in Python. Okay, what do you mean by OOPS concepts? OOPS means object oriented programming. Okay, so normally now I am using VS Code, Visual Studio Code, as a IDE for both Java and Python. So, my dear students, if you don't have any computer and laptop, don't feel worry. You can do code practicing, efficient code practicing in the mobiles. Okay. Nowadays, the mobiles are so powerful processors. Okay, with the clock speed of 2.6 gigahertz more than, and they are coming with 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM. Okay, 8 GB ROM. 8 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, random access memory, and 8 GB, 16 GB RAM. So that is so sufficient to write the coding. Okay. And so the apps I am writing here, commenting here for Java. For Java, you can Android app, JV Drive from Google Play Store. Okay. And Python, PyDrive 3, PyDrive. So these apps, you download JV Drive, PyDrive 3 apps from Google Play Store, and then you can write the coding in mobile. Okay. So myself, whenever I started the classes, initial classes, I have taught all the classes in mobile, and most of the thousand pages code, 1,000 pages code I have written the mobile. That that code was sent to the students whomever have attended my classes, whomever have not attended my classes. So I suggest you that the students whomever residing in the villages, don't feel that you don't have any laptop. No need. Okay, you can do code practicing in mobile, because in rural areas throughout the India, every home, even though if they don't have any laptop, surely they have one smartphone mobile. Okay. If you have any doubt how to write the coding in mobile, you call me on my number 9110398650, and I am providing the free classes over Python, Java, C++, data structures and algorithms. Classes are being conducted weekly, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 8 p.m. These are all free classes. Okay. You can contact me on my mobile number. My mobile number is what? 91103911039865. You can contact me on this mobile number 9110398650. Okay, for free classes, weekly, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 8 p.m. sharply without fail. Okay. Okay, now come to the point. OOPS concepts, object-oriented programming. In Python, everything is object. Everything is object. Means, suppose if you write a variable, suppose you declare a variable that is called variable, it stores integer type of data, so 5. So now this 8 is integer type of data. It is an object. Okay. If you want to know that, simply you type print bracket type where is a variable, you pass. This type function use it to know this is which type of this variable holds which type of data. Where means variable, you can keep any XYZ. It doesn't matter. Keep my name, no issue. Anything you can keep. Suppose Vasu is equal, no issue. It is a Vasu is a variable. Okay. Vasu holds integer type of data. if you run this, you will get this is called int, but here class. Class means in Java, this is an object. Okay, 8 is an object that is part of a class. Okay. So in object-oriented programming in Python, we will try to understand somewhat concepts like what class, okay, class, comma, object, comma, methods, comma, attributes of the class, attributes, okay? Try to understand that. Now, this is an integer type of data stored in a variable also. So this is what integer type of data, part of a class. Now, if you want to know that where it is stored, so simply you print bracket ID function. These are the built-in functions. After that, you pass where. So what happened? So why it is giving error? There is no variable. Vasu is our variable. So you need to pass variable as Vasu parameter. Now you will get what? The area. This is the memory location. This is the memory location where this integer data type is stored. Okay. So by ID function, you can get where this integer data in which location memory in which memory location this data is integer data is stored. You can get it. Okay. By the type function, you can know that this is which type of data. Vasu variable stores which type of data. So it is integer type of data. It is an object of class. So let us try to understand now. Suppose if this function, these are part of, if you create a function here, def. So in Python, function will be created with the def keyword. After that, name of the function, any name, keep add is a name, suppose show is a name. So after the name of the function, suffix with the, this is what, braces. Okay, then column. Now what happened? One function is created with the def keyword. Okay. What do you mean, mummy? This one? बदल दिलता है मत में टेबल में था. Okay. So now one function created with the def keyword, its name is show. Okay. Now this is the syntax, but why it is giving error? Because now all these statements, these are called line of instructions. Every line is in programming one statement, otherwise instruction. Now, whenever you create a function with the show name, these line of statements must follow some margin. Margin means 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, any whatever you desire. But I will normally suggest to give 4 spaces, means 1 tab. This is 4 spaces, white spaces. Now, okay. Now what happened? Now these lines, all the lines, these 3 line of statements now become there the part of this function, def show function. Now, whenever you call this function, how to call the function? With the function name, show, always the function will be with suffixed with the brackets. Okay. Now, I have called show function. Now what happened? Whatever the statements, okay, now the result is, now these 2 print statements and this variable integer type of data, they are the part of this function, show function. I have called that function. So this is called your inbuilt function. User defined function. User defined, how to create the user defined function? Okay, by the def keyword. By simply keep def keyword after that function name. Okay, so here simply I want to, because we need to understand what is the method, and that is part of a object. So first of all, we need to understand function. Function is what you know. Under the function, some lines of code. This is called a block of code. A block means some line of statement, some line of instructions will be executed whenever we call that function. Okay, that is called function. Okay, function never be declared under a class. It is independent. Function is independent. So under the function, whatever the lines of statement you have put, they will be, whenever you call that function, they will be called. They will be executed. That is called function. Okay. So see, here this is print is one inbuilt function. ID is one inbuilt function. Always the function suffixed with the brackets. Within the brackets, we will pass parameters. Here, Vasu is a variable. I have passed Vasu as a parameter. Okay. So type is also one type of function. It is built-in function. Type function used to know which type of data this variable stores. Okay. It is integer type of data. ID function used to know the memory, where the memory location, which memory location this variable is created, and that variable holds integer type of data. That memory location is this. Okay. Now after that, whenever this function becomes a part of a class. Now in Python, class is created with the class keyword. After that, class name. Class name. Any name you can, X, Y, Z, any name. Okay. Suppose class name is Ravi. Ravi is a class. So after class, the class must be terminated with the colon. Okay. Class and function must be terminated with the colon. Okay. Now why it is giving error? Because now just before class declaration, only function was there. But now this function, now it becomes part of your class. When this function becomes the part of this class, if you give some margin means, I told you that indentation. In Python, indentation or margin, that is very important. So you give a tab. Tab means 4 white spaces. Okay. Okay. Now your function is part of your class. Now this function is not called as function. It becomes what? A method. Now it becomes what? Method. User defined method. Now this user defined function becomes what? User defined method. Why? Because whenever a function, it is part of a class. Whenever a function, initially it was a function, now it is part of a class, Ravi. So now this function becomes method, user-defined method. Okay, now why it is giving error? Because now these 3 statements part of this function. So they must be follow some indentation, expected indented block. Means here Java interpreter, Python interpreter expecting some indentation. Indentation is what, as I told you, that margin. Here, one tab. One tab is what? It gives 4 white spaces. Otherwise, if you give 1 space, 2 space, manually we need to adjust. That is difficult. That's why. Okay, now what happened? Why it is giving error? Because you are calling this function, but now this function is not a function. It is part of this class. So now it becomes method. So how to call this method? That is very important. That's why it is giving error. It is not defined. So we need to create an object. Class is created with the class name. Class name is Ravi. So if you want to call this method, show method, you need to create the object. Object syntax is what? Syntax to create the object in syntax to create Syntax to create object in Python. What is the syntax? Come down. First of all, you need to create what is that? Syntax is what? Object name first. Object name is equal to next class name. Class name, then brackets. Okay, this is the syntax. Okay, so as per the syntax, we will write the syntax. Object name, first object name. What is, you can keep any object name. Simply you school, you can keep X, Y, Z, my name Vasu, Ravi, anything. Okay, you can keep. Suppose object, simply you write object next is equal to class name. What is class name? Ravi is our class name. So you type Ravi. Okay. Next word Ravi, and then brackets. Brackets means parenthesis. They are called parenthesis. Now your object is created, but why it is giving error? Because where is in which line? So no object is created. It is, you need to don't give any margin. Before that, once white space was there. So class is, there is no any margin, indentation here. But object is one white space is there. This is one white space. So you adjust. There is no any, because this line indicating properly. Okay. Now this object is created. Object name for the Ravi class. Object is created. Okay. Now this is called your default constructor. Default constructor in Python. Okay. What is the role of the default constructor? This default constructor is used to start the object. Whenever object is created, this is the object is created. Object will be created in the heap memory. Okay, and its reference will be stored in, reference mean where, in which memory location this object is created, that memory location will be stored in stack memory in a variable. Okay, that is called reference variable. Okay. So now what is the role of this constructor? To start the object and to assign the properties for the class variables. Suppose here I have, suppose one variable I have created is equal, this is 8. This variable 8 assigned to X variable. Okay. Now, this is, if I will not assign any value, just X is, so it will give error, because in Python, it is to be defined. But in Java, you can declare a variable without assigning a value. But in Python, we need to define any, we need to assign any value. To assign this value is equal to 8. Now what happened? So Vasu, under the show method, Vasu variable holds one integer type of data. So you change this as somewhat 10. Okay, now no issue. Now this variable, now this is part of your, it is declared inside of the class. Inside of the class. Okay, now try to understand. Now your object is created. Now you want to call this method. No, it is not a function. So how? By object name. Suppose, what is your object name? Obj dot. Okay. So the method always accessed by dot operator and with the name of object name, and then dot operator. Okay. Now what happened? This method, under this method is being accessed with the object created for Ravi class. So interpreter goes to Ravi class and under this method will be executed. Now let us see what happened. So Ravi show takes zero positional argument, but one was given. So Ravi dot show means is a method that is Ravi dot show takes zero positional arguments, but one was given. Means this method, whenever you want to call this method, so with the name of object, so that moment you need to pass a parameter here. That is called self parameter. Okay. I will explain what is self parameter. So now, so you are accessing. So you do one thing, clear the screen. CLS means clear the screen. Now you you compile this. So now see, this is the result. Okay. Now what happened? Now your method, this show method accessed with the object. So whatever the statements written under this method, they have been executed. Okay, now what we did here, we have accessed a method as a object method. So then it is called object method. Otherwise, it's called object method. Okay. Otherwise, our instance method. Okay. Now, the question is whether I can access this method with the class name. Yes, you can access this method with the class name. How? So you simply call that method as class method with the class name. What is our class name? Ravi. And then method name dot operator. Show. Okay. Now you call this. Now you execute this one. So what is their see? Whenever you want to Ravi dot show missing one required positional argument self means what you know. Whenever you want to execute that, you want to call that method as a class method, that time this parameter, you need to remove this one. Okay, if you want to call that method with the class name. So what happened? So it is giving error because why? Here you want to call that method as a object method as a class method with the class name object. So at a time, because if you pass self parameter, you can call this method as a object method. If you remove the self parameter, you can call this as a class method. So you pass comments here. No, this method I have not put any self parameter, so I can call this method as a class method. So this code will be executed. Okay, the code is executed. Means what you know, now I have called this method as a class method. Okay, as a class method. Class method or static method. Static method. Okay. Sometimes this method, object method, instance method, or public method. Public means normally in Java public static we will use. Here also, if any method called with the class name, that is called static method or class method. So now what happened? Now try to understand. So mostly what is the difference between class method and object method? So if I call the method and method attributes, okay, as a class, attributes, class variables, otherwise class method. So then what happened? No need to create the object. If I create the object, so for the object, memory is to be allotted. So once memory is allotted for the object, so whenever along with this object class attributes means class properties, they need memory to be allotted for them also. So object creation is included with the allotting of memory. So, efficient memory will not be managed. If we create more objects, we need of more memory. If I want to call that any method and attributes, class variables, okay, so no need to create the object. So no more memory is required. That is the difference. Okay. Now come down. So always in the programming, actually what happened most of the time, the methods and attributes will be accessed with the object creation. So this will not be preferred. So you keep this comment section. Now open this, remove this. Now your method is called with the object, that moment self parameter. So this self parameter, it can be keep anyone. My name you keep simply was. You keep my name, there's no any issue. Okay, it will be executed. Okay, if you keep your name, you keep anything chocolate, there's no any issue. Chocolate. So it will be executed self parameter. But in the documents written as, we need to pass the self first but that parameter must be first parameter. Then after, if any parameters, any variables are there, suppose x is a variable, y is a variable, two variables I have passed as parameters. So you can pass after this self parameter. The self parameter can be any name, doesn't matter. Chocolate, biscuit, you keep. But that must be the first parameter. Then after, anything, whatever you want to keep. Okay. Now what happened? Now this is called what? Type error. Ravi dot show missing. Where is that Ravi dot show missing? Two required positional arguments, x, the x and y, because you have passed two variables. So that variables must be defined. They must be defined. So where should we define the values for these x comma y in this constructor? So you pass the values as 7 comma 8. Okay, otherwise 7 comma 4. So now what happened? These two values pass to these variables by this constructor. This is the constructor. Constructor means Ravi bracket, no? So this is a constructor means this method. Okay. So that method, the constructor, as I told you that, what is the use of the constructor? It will start the object. First, after that, as the values will be class attributes, class values will be updated. Okay, let us see how they will be updated. Huh? So now see what happened. Now try to understand, try to execute this one. Ravi takes which line? So object Ravi is equal default constructor. Ravi takes no arguments. So the arguments will not be passed here. The argument, because we need to pass these arguments to be passed. If you want, you need to create whenever you call that method. So these parameters, because you need to pass, because you have created the parameters in show method. So these are called local variable. These are called local variable. Local variables are what? Local variables created inside of a method. Okay. So once local variables created inside of a method, they will be used inside of a method. They can't be used outside of the method. Okay. Always the local variables will be created inside of a method. So now I have declared two x comma y, two parameters. So two variables means parameters. So after that, I need to pass the values in the method. This is the method. So whenever I call this method with the object name, so you pass the values here. So you pass, suppose 4, comma 5. Okay. 4, comma. You need to give comma. Okay. So 3 is assigned for X and 56 assigned for Y. Now what happened? Let us see. Huh? Now, because the program is okay. But if you want to get the printout, you need to put print statement. You need to take print. Okay. You need to get the printout statement. Okay. Now none. Why none? Why none you are getting? Because why none? Why none? That moment, because see, already that print statement, you have passed the values here. That print statement, you need to keep where. So you need to you down here. You now here print comma x. Now print y, because whenever you call this method, so these values will be printed. Okay. So 3, comma 56 values. Okay, because as I told you that this is a method. So once you call that method with the as an object method, so these lines of statement, line of instructions will be executed. Okay. So you can't call these parameters outside of the class. So once you want to call here, outside of this is outside of the class. If you want to call this from here, if you want to call this as outside of this one, you will get none type of, you will get none. You will get none. Okay. These 3, comma 56, because the print you requested for the print statement inside of the method. Okay. The local variables you want to get as a printout inside of the method. So whenever you call that method, so that that print, whenever you call this method, where is that method? I have called that method. Okay. I have called that method with the object.show. Okay. So printed, but you have used one more print. Whenever none you will get when so if you print here already you are requesting for print, again you are requesting for one more print, so that moment you will get this none type of. Okay, so you remove this print here, so you will get. Okay, why it is giving error? Because so this is one open bracket, close bracket. This is no need. So that is why you are getting. Now come down, you are getting this output. So what happened? Now one user-defined method. Now this is not user-defined, it is a class, user-defined class. Okay. Now this is called user-defined method. User-defined method. Okay. Now this is class. So in in Python, we have created as a programmer, I have created a class. Within that, I have declared a method show. Within this, some statements are defined. After that, I have created an object. Syntax is this. Then after, I have called this method with the object name. Okay. So now try to come to the point. Come to the point what? Now, suppose this is 10. This is class variable. This is what? Class variable. So now, if you want, this value is initially you have set up this value 10. Now, if you want to update this value, how can you update that? Okay, whether you can access this one class variable with the object name. Let us see. As you have accessed the method, same you call print, and then object dot x, object dot you pass x. So then what happened? You are calling this attribute class variable, okay, class variable as a object name, okay, object name. So now come down. What is happening? You are getting this 10. So now, first of all, I have not briefed that what is class and what is object, and try to understand. This is very important. Try to understand. In our real world, in our day-to-day life, so many objects are there. Physical things. So suppose see, fruit. Fruit is a collection of fruits. Fruit is a collection of fruits. So we can say that fruit is a class. Fruit is a class of collection of fruits. Fruit is a class of collection of fruits. Okay. So here, fruit is a class, and the class having collection of fruits, like what, apple. Apple is a fruit. Okay. Papaya is a fruit. Banana is a fruit, like what you know. Same. One more class. Class car. Car is a class. So objects are Renault. Renault is a car brand, but car. Maruti. Maruti is a. So car is a class, but these are the objects. Okay, fruit is a class. These are the apple, papaya. These are the objects. So human is a class. Human human being. Human being means insan, means man. Man, okay, people. Human is a class, but objects are what? Ravi is an object. Vasu is an object. Vasu. Human is an object. Why? Because human is a logical entity. Logical means there is no any physical existence. Human, who is human? So suppose simply you ask, who is human? Who is what fruit? What fruit? Then you need to say, okay, papaya. So if you ask that, bring fruit. Where is fruit is where? Which fruit? So physically fruits are apple, but fruit, logical entity. So physically it is not existing. Okay. Apple is physically existing. You can, if I call that, bring apple. So you, collection of fruits, you will bring 1 kg apple. So if I say, bring 1 kg of fruits, so you simply ask me, which fruit? Apple, banana. So apple, papaya, Vasu, Suman, Maruti, these are real world physical objects. Physically, they are existing, they are present. But fruit, car, human, they are logical entities. They are not physically existing in the world. So simply we can say that now class can be defined as a template, a blueprint, template or blueprint to construct the class, to construct the object, Okay, try to understand. This is very important. So class can be defined as a template or blueprint to construct the object, because object will be created with the class. Class has the template designing structure. Okay. See, Normally what happens if human is a class, so Ravi is an object. So that Ravi has some attributes, some parameters. So Ravi has some height. Okay, Ravi has some color. Ravi has some weight. So these are appearance of that object. Appearance of that object. Okay. So they are called properties. They are called properties. And that Ravi, an object, he has some behavior. Means that behavior of object means he speaks, Ravi walks, Ravi laughs. That actions, whatever that object doing, they are called the methods. So in programming, okay, the characteristics of an object, characteristics, like what example, object height of the object, height, na? Height, weight, 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 comma, color of the object, color. Suppose is a human being, Vasu. Vasu has some attributes, means some characteristics, attributes, parameters. Okay, there's no color. So these are all called attributes. Otherwise, characteristics. In our programming, we will call them as properties. Huh? So next, that behavior of objects. Behavior is object is what? Behavior. That object do some actions. So Ravi laughs. Okay. Ravi speak. Ravi eat. These actions, okay, that behavior of that object is called methods. That is called method. Okay. Now, this total line of code, now if I compile this code, if I run this code, so it will give error because we need to keep, this is introduction of, what is class and objects. So you need to, here I have done single hash, I have kept for single line comments. That is used for single line comment. Okay. But if I want to keep multi-line comment, simply you keep here triple quotes. What? Triple quotes. Starting at the end of the here, triple quotes. Okay. Now this total line, multi-lines kept in triple quote, that is what comment section. Now this line of code will not be read by your Python interpreter. Okay. Now let us see what is happening here. So code is being executed. So now, as I told you that I have defined class is what, object is what, method is what, attributes. Attributes means that is what. So Ravi has some, if you simply write now, X is what. So whenever you define variables, class attributes, so X is what. So you simply write weight, height of this, height of this Ravi class. Okay. Ravi is under class human. Okay. Now, if you, as per your definition, class. So class, Ravi is an object. So you define this as a human class. Under this human class, one object created. Okay. Object created for this human class. Okay. You change this Ravi as a human. Otherwise, it will give error. So under a human class, one object is being structured. Under this human class, object Ravi is being designed. So how that Ravi has height is equal to that is equal to 165 centimeters. 165 centimeters. His weight, W-I-G-H-T, weight is equal to 80 kgs. Okay. His color is equal to black, yeah, light black, whatever, light black. But it is giving error because it is these two are, this is integer. So you define this as a float. So now this is float. Now this is what? So it is a sequence of characters. So now you can say that this is a string. So in Python, string always to be declared in double quotation mark, either double quotation mark or single quotation mark. Double, it doesn't matter. Now this is a string type of data. Pass it to any, this is what your class attribute, class variable. Okay. Now see. So once these variables are declared, how to update them? By creating a constructor. So this is default constructor. So this default constructor can't be used to update these values. Okay. So then who will update these values? Okay. You need to create a constructor. That constructor with the create with the def keyword and underscore double. This is the structure. Okay. Def double underscore init double underscore self. Okay, now after that, this terminate with the colon. Now come down here. Now under this, we need to access them as self dot height. Self dot height is equal to height. Okay. H-E-I-G-H-T is equal to height. Then you need to height H-E-I-G-H-T. Okay. Now try to understand. I will explain each and everything. Now self dot W-I-E-I-G-H-T is equal to weight. So and self dot color is equal to color. What do you mean of this? Why these are giving error? Because if you want to update these class variable class attributes, so one constructor is created, that constructor will update that values constructor. That constructor will update, these values will be updated by this constructor. How? Let us see. So now what happened under this? These are class variables. So these are whatever I am creating here, these are called local variables. Local variables. Okay, now. So these three are local variables. As it is, I have created. These are class variables. So to differentiate them, these are class variables. These are self dot. The self parameter here used to refer is a reference to the method. So this method, whenever I pass this as a self, I told you that self, you can keep anything. It doesn't matter. Okay. So I have kept stacked. So this self parameter, this self, it refers to that this method belongs to the current object. What is a current object? Object is created. This is object created for human class. Okay. Now what happened? Now this self parameter, one more function of this self parameter, it refers to the class variables. by self. Self dot height means this height, it is a class variable. Without self parameter, these are local variables. Now, by these local variables, okay, these values will be updated. How? Let us see. So now in this constructor, we need to pass the values. How? Height is equal to what? You pass. Height is equal to 175 centimeters. Come. Next is equal to weight, 75 kgs. Comma. Color. Color is what? String. It is to be kept in string. Black. Okay. If you keep in this manner, it will give error because string always kept in double quotation or a single quotation marks. Single quotation marks. Okay. Now, understand. Now, what happened? Whenever you call that, what happens? See, so you run this code, attribute error. So what? Human object. So clearly it is stating that human object has no attribute X. Because here I want to access the X, object.X, but I have not defined. I have changed the values as height. Okay, you change that. You want to access this as height. Okay, there's no any issue. So now what will be the value height? So 178. This is the height of that object. Height is 178, but you have height, you have assigned the value 165.6. So 165.6, this value, how it is updated to 178? Who has updated this value to 178? The constructor. How it is happened? So under this constructor, this is the default constructor. Suppose if you will not create this constructor, this is the class, main class constructor. So if it is not created, so then normally whenever object is created along with this built-in function, this built-in init function will be called. Okay. Okay. So this built-in function is used to update the class variables. Without this, if you want to pass the values here, okay, so it will not take. I will explain how it is happening. So now after that, you print object dot height, comma, object dot weight, comma, color. So now see why it is giving error. You want to access color without object, so it will give error. Always obj dot. Okay. So whenever you access all the attributes with the object name, that moment they are called instance variables. Instance. If you access these variables, class variables, as with the object, now they are called as instance variable. Instance means object variables. If you call them with the class name, then they are called what? Variables, instance variables. So normally what happens, if a student class is there and student has unique properties, height, every student has somewhat unique properties, weight differ, human to human weight is differ, color differ, but common property, suppose in a school, college, student class is there, under that their common property is called what? That is called your college name. Suppose he is studying college is equal to quotation, single quotation, double, it is a string type of data, KISS college, KISS engineering college. This string, it is the common property. So that common property is called class variable. Class variable. Class. Class variable. Okay. Now this class variable can be accessed. No need to call this variable call with object name, because every time if we call the all the variables with the object, so memory consumption is more. So if you call them with the class name, okay, so no, because no, this this kiss is what it is a college name, no? So one object is created here. Object is created for human class, one object. So if this is called Ravi, okay, you say this object as Ravi, because in Ravi, okay, Ravi is an object. So in that human class, Suman is an object. Suman is object. So that object has, okay, this is the part of human class. So this Suman has somewhat parameters like what you know, his height is equal to 157 and his weight 45 and its color is equal to light black. Light black. So two objects created. Two objects created for this human class. And the two objects will be printed. Two objects will be printed. So here, why it is giving error? Because you have changed the object name. Okay. Now object directly I have given the student name Ravi. Suman. Every time Suman. So I am creating in the college 500 students are there. So if I want to update their values, I need to create 500 objects. 500 objects, every object has their parameters, variables. Okay, we will pass the values. So how this is to be added is to be added with the result. Let us see. First of all, I need to change this as Ravi. Okay, Ravi is an object for that human class. Now Ravi dot show and Ravi dot, sorry, this is human dot show. Show, that is human dot show, because you want to call this as now if you want to call this as okay, one human class, na? You want to call this where is that object? Object is Ravi. Okay, Ravi. Object with the class Ravi. Okay, now what happened? So now it is okay. Now what happened? You need to change this all as Ravi. Same Ravi. So this is also Ravi. Now what happened? So now what happened? So now if I want to create one more, so already this created, na? So you want to get the printout of another, so you print, copy, you paste here, paste. So here, if I want to get for Suman, I need to change Suman object. But Suman is object. For one class, one human class, I can create many objects. But class name, only one class is there. Within that class, I can create many objects. Okay. Now come down. Suman height. Here is one more Suman. Okay. Suman. So two objects created for human class. Okay. Now the two objects for the two objects under this object constructor. So I have passed the parameters. So now two records will be printed. See, this is for what? This is for Ravi parameters. This is for what? Suman. So like that, if I have 500 students in the class, otherwise, okay, in a village, human, which is a class under this village, 2000 people are there. So I can create all the records by creating the objects. But if it is a student concerning, these are what now these are attributes are called class. That is what they are called instance variables. Okay, instance variables. So now what about that? This parameter, this is called this attribute college that is to be added with all of them. So how it is possible? Let us see. See what happened. So now for the college, I have passed the string type of data. Okay, for this college variable. Okay, like class variable. Okay, sometimes it is called class attributes, fields. Okay, now in the constructor, college passed as a local variable. Now self.college is college. So I am mentioning that these are the local variable and is equal to class variable. Self parameter indicates that these are class variables to differentiate. Okay. Now how this being updated? Whenever you pass the values as arguments. So arguments what? Whenever you create a method. This is also constructor. This is the constructor, but it is this method. Why? Because whenever any method has the brackets, within that you are passing any parameters as a parameters. In that moment, if you call that, so we need to pass the values as arguments for this parameter. For every argument parameter, height 178, for weight 75, I have passed the values as arguments. Difference between parameters and argument. Once method is created, if you pass variables in method bracket, they are called parameters. Whenever method is called, that moment the values you are passing, they are called arguments. Okay. Now, if you run this, what happening? So 40 line, a positional argument. I told you that the values we are passing, they are called positional arguments. So for the college, there is no any positional argument. In which record? 40 line. Okay. For this object created, this is okay. Now here we need to pass the college as what? Suppose same college, he is studying same college. So same. Otherwise, you need to some more college. This. No. Okay. Records. This is this record. This one student record. This is one student record. Now, what happened? Now, if you want to see these values, whatever you have passed, they are not being displayed anywhere. See, this is 178 height, but height you have given 165.6, 157 height. So 165.6. So whatever the values you have passed here, they are being updated time to time. Time to time means whenever object either once first object created, we have passed the values as arguments. For the second object we have created, we have passed the values as arguments. So these values passed to these local variables. How? Because this is the constructor. So within the constructor, we have passed the values as arguments. Now these values pass to this constructor. Okay, this is the constructor, and this is the one more constructor. By this, these values pass to these local variables. I told you that these are what? Local variables. Why? Because don't be confused. Sir, you have told that these are also local variables because it is a method. The constructor is also a special method to update the class attributes to start the object. Yes, somewhat the constructor has to update the class attributes, okay, class variables to start the object. Okay, initially, once object is created in heap memory, heap and stack memory, they are part of RAM, random access memory. So once object is created, that is to be started, but that will be started by this constructor. And these class attributes to be updated. Okay, that is the role of the constructor. Now, whenever these values pass to this local variables, now local variable is equal to your class variable, then these values will be sent to these class variables will be updated because these are class variable. Na? So your local variable is equal to class variable. So these values will be updated every time. Whenever you create the first, for the first object, these are the values. And you got a printout statement now. Okay. Now that moment, see, no need to uh, request for print statement because in your constructor, I have put the print statement here. Okay. Once these values pass to here and local variable is equal to your class variables, they will be updated. And here I requested for print. So once, why? Because now, so here object created, okay. So every time I need to request for printout statement. Every time I need to request for print statement. So no need. So once you create, see, two objects are created, you will get two printout statements. Okay, two printout statements. Okay. No, if you no need to, if one more object is created, you copy this, you copy, you paste here. This is what you change this. What is this object name? Human object. Ravi Raja. Raja. Raja is an object created by a human class. Now you have passed the parameter. You have changed it. His height is equal to this. His weight is equal to 55. Now his color is equal to color is equal to gold color. He looks. So his college is okay, same like what you know. So now I have not requested for any printout. Printout put in where one printout statement. So in the previous time, whenever I have not put this print statement in constructor, so object is created and every time I am requesting for the print statement. So if I have created 500 objects, so I need to write 500 times print statement. No, once you keep print statement in your constructor, so 3 records, 500 records, they will be printed. Okay, 3 records. Okay, so now if you want to get these values, with the object name, see, you can, you print, you ask for dot height. See what happened. What is the Ravi dot height? What is the Ravi dot height? You are accessing that height Ravi. Ravi is what? Object. So height is equal to 178. You will get the 178. Okay. If you want to get Suman is an object. Suman height. So you simply write Suman height. What is Suman height? 157. You are getting. So what do you mean of this? Every time these variables, okay, these variables can be accessed as object variable. This is the object, no? Object variable. So if you want to access this as a class variable, print, okay, class bracket. Now you can access them with the class name. What is our class name? Class name. See, what is our class name? These are the objects for which class? Human class. So you can call them as human dot height. So now question, that moment, if you ask for the height of the human, so which value you will get? The class this one, 165.6. 165.6 means what, you know, you are requesting for height of this height attribute you want to access as a class variable with the class name. So this moment, if the attributes they are being accessed with the class name, so they are called class variables. Same, if they are being accessed with the object name, they are called what? Instance variable, object variable. In Java, they are called public. Public means public instance variable, object variable. Okay. If we are accessing them with the class name, they are called class variable. Okay. So now see. So in the class, concepts, class I have explained, object I have explained, methods, attributes. Attributes, nothing but whatever the variables declared in class. Okay. So they are called the sometimes attributes, sometimes variables, fields. Okay. So now try to understand. These will be updated with the help of this constructor. But if this constructor is not placed here, so whether we can update only by this constructor, we can do that. So let us check that. So this is actually called, this constructor is called init function. It is called, sometimes it is called double underscore function, double underscore method. This is called sometimes underscore method. Wide underscore method. See, double underscore. Here double underscore. So double underscore means double underscore method. Otherwise, init function. This is the built-in function of class. Every time class is created, this built-in function is called. Okay. Once object is this, by this function, this class object will be started. And by this function, built-in function, these parameters will be, class attributes will be updated. So practically we have seen, okay. Practically we have seen that moment we need to pass the values as arguments here. Whenever these values, whatever I have passed there, these values, okay, these values passed to these, whatever that, local variables. By local variable is equal to class variables. So whenever I have, if I want to get that height of that object, Okay, that is Suman dot height. What is Suman dot height? 157. Okay, 157 for Suman dot. Suman is an object that height displayed. The height is displayed. And for if you want to access the class variables, you can access them with the class name. Class name. Okay. So next is what? So now, so once the object is created, that object can be deleted. Okay. So that object can be deleted by delete dot Ravi. Okay. Now what happened? By this del Ravi, we can delete this object. Okay. Let us see what happened. Now how many objects we have? Let us see. TLS clear screen. Now create. Now let's see how many. This is what black Ravi 178 75 del dot Ravi del Ravi Ravi is an object.